Pulsechain, the new blockchain that should be coming out pretty soon, could be the second largest network if some of the things I'm talking about in this video we can actually implement. Currently, Bitcoin is the largest network, followed by Ethereum. And one way you can take a look at the market cap of these companies to see which one's the largest, right? But another way, you could take a look at the number of nodes on the network. Right? Bitcoin has the most nodes, and then I believe that's followed up by Ethereum. And that's interesting because the nodes track market cap or vice versa. So it got me thinking about this when I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. What if there was a incentive for individual users like us, which don't really have any incentive to run a node, actually had the incentive to run a node, a financial incentive, or it reduced the costs of doing something, or it made something so much more convenient. We're going to talk about that in this video and also present one of the issues with Ethereum centralization. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But first, if this is your first time here, well, what's Gucci? My name is Sam. For those of you who are returning, it is good to freaking see you. So, if you'd like to support the channel, there's some links down below. You can check those out. You can check out some cool stuff over at shop.letstalkpeds.com, shop.letstalkpeds.com. But let's talk about what a node is. There are many, many, many different types of nodes, as I've learned doing the research for this video, not just in one network, or not just like overall. So you think like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin might have like 3 different type of nodes. Say like a full node, a partial node, a light node, and an offline node or something, which is like 4 different types of nodes. And I don't know for sure that's all with Bitcoin, but then there's other things called master nodes, and then there's different types of nodes. There's a mining node or staking node or all of this shit. You're like, holy F, this is absolutely insane. But what is a node in relation to blockchain? Like, why is it important? Effectively, the node operates the network. So it's kind of like the pass-through to a new blocks, right? You think of blockchain as one block stacked up to another with the transactions involved in each block. And if the network, because that's what we can think of as nodes, as the network, were to deny the new block from a miner, then that's saying that that block is not valid. Right? So in one sense, it validates the network's blocks that are coming in. It also, well, we'll get into some of the details in here, but effectively it's going to hold some or all of the blockchain, and it's going to confirm anything new trying to come onto the transaction. So if it's just me confirming all the transactions, then do you think that I might make a mistake? Maybe I like to sleep. Maybe I like to do something, right? So if it's just me confirming all the transactions, then clearly a mistake could happen. Also, if I were to be like, yeah, why don't I confirm this transaction and then you can just give me $5 million? Well, then that's also an issue, right? Because it's just me confirming the transaction. So I get to confirm what I want, which I can do things that are in my best interest and F other people over, right? So nodes have also, they also provide security, right? They provide the uptime of the whole entire network, and like the resistance to collapse is one way of thinking about this. this is just on the Ethereum.org site, but these are 6 different areas that are all beneficial by nodes. And if these were enough of an incentive to run a node, then we'd have more nodes, which we're going to get into in a moment. We don't. This marketing pitch that we're going to talk about, these 6 things in a second, is not working. If the marketing pitch for running a node worked, then we wouldn't be, first of all, so centralized with Ethereum, the 2nd largest network or blockchain, and we would have a lot more people running nodes or being part of the network. So we want to understand this. So we're going to touch on these things, and then actually let's pull this up. Network value. So there's a Metcalfe law, I think it is, which talks about this, right? What is the value of a network? A value network refers to a series of interactions between individuals and organizations or departments that benefit from the entire group. What is valuable? Okay, well, Metcalfe. I think this might be a definition. Okay, the network value to Metcalfe's ratio is defined as the ratio of the log of market capitalization divided by the log of the square of daily active addresses in, okay, that super wasn't helpful, but think of like a network. If you have a fax machine and I have a fax machine, that's super cool, right? Because then I can send you shit and you can send me shit. Well, when we have 2 people, there's not a tremendous amount of value in that. Now, if you think of Facebook as the same thing, right? Because they created this network of people, of all sorts of people coming together, the possibilities, the value that is able to be extracted or created would be a better word, on top of this network is astonishing. There's been so many companies that have been built on top of Facebook creating this, or another one to think about would be cell phones. You can think of, and this idea is not from me, it's just from Frosty, right? Who's somebody on Twitter. You guys should go check him out. But you can check out my Twitter, also link down below. If you're liking this video, make sure you share it with somebody else. And press the subscribe button. Network related to phones, right? My phone is over there. If 10 years ago, 12 years ago, there was the idea that you could run an entire business off of a cell phone, making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a year, fax things, sign documents, video chat, 1080p, you name it. And we can do it on a cell phone. Why? Because the more cell phones in people's hands, the more nodes there are, which means there's more value to create things on top of this network. Okay, let's try to grasp that. Keep that in the back of your mind. Let's touch on these 6 things here, and then we're going to get into the idea on how Pulsechain can actually be either the #1 or bigger than Ethereum. So these are the reasons why to run a node. Privacy. And I think we talked about the security piece of it. Stop leaking your personal information to third-party nodes, right? If you are doing transactions through somebody else's node, then they get to see that, which means they can track that, right? That's one of the reasons why people like decentralization, at least in the crypto space, to get away from that. Censorship resistance ensures access when you need it. Don't be censored, right? We can all look at the last 24 months, 36 months, right? Remember there was a guy named Trump who was censored all over the place. My videos have been censored. I have had a YouTube channel taken down. I've had content pretty much on every single platform except for maybe Twitter, but I had a whole Twitter account deleted. So a lot of censorship is taking place. Nodes, increasing the number of nodes, actually makes it more resistant to censorship. Because there's more people. If I'm the only person who's protecting the network, who's participating in the network, then all you got to do is distract me, and then you can censor whoever you want, right? Because I'm the only one who's making sure the network's up. Participate, right? And by the way, remember, these 6 things here are clearly not working, in my opinion. The decentralization revolution starts with you. Cool story, bro. Decentralization. Resist strengthening centralized points of failure. So this is true, because if you look at the nodes on Ethereum, which we're about to do, it's actually very centralized. Voice your choice. Don't give up control in the event of a fork. I'm not sure how that works, but assuming you run a node, I believe you can point your node in whatever direction you want. So if there was another fork, right? So Ethereum Classic is actually that was Ethereum. Then they forked off of it. Now the Ethereum that people call Ethereum today was actually a fork of the real Ethereum. Sovereignty. Thinking of running a node like the next step beyond getting your own Ethereum wallet. You're like, okay, cool. Look at all these amazing, intangible ways of helping the system. This is super compelling to people, right? Like all these things, privacy, security, decentralization, you get a voice, you can help with reducing the network, the censorship, and create your own sovereignty. That marketing pitch isn't fucking working. This is the Ethereum mainnet nodes. Check this out. The second largest network has under 6,000 nodes. Pretty crack, right? Under 6,000 nodes. That's not that many nodes at all. So, why is this centralized? Well, let's take a look here at the network types. So you see this is hosting. So we click on hosting. Amazon, AWS, hosts 50, it says 51% here, but it's actually higher. If you look at this chart, make sure you guys can see this. Above my head, okay, cool. If you look at this chart actually says 55.9% of all hosted devices are run by AWS, but it's actually higher than that, because if you look over here, this is also Amazon, probably just input slightly incorrectly. So this is another 2%. So we have 56% plus 2 is 58% of the entire network here. Let's see here. We have 67.3 times point. We get to see how much of the network Amazon can actually control. 0.673 times 0.58. It's crazy, guys. Amazon controls effectively 40% of the Ethereum network. This is not the only point of centralization. This is not the only point. We're gonna get into this in just a second. We got to cover one more point on this, right? This Amazon. If Amazon goes down, if AWS goes down, if AWS says, "Hey, we don't agree. We're a big company, and we don't agree with the points of view that are coming out of Ethereum. We are going to shut down the hosting." We saw this happen with Parler, right? The social media app for more of people on the right. Amazon shut them down. AWS, they don't agree. There was a couple other hosting platforms that decided to shut them down. These companies can and will do this. And they own 40%. They control 40% of all the nodes on Ethereum, the second largest network out there in terms of market. Now, what's another effect, or what's another point of centralization? And then we're going to tie back in over here. Well, you may have heard of Infura. They also run network nodes. I don't see them in here, and I don't know the full story behind them, but they also run nodes, right? You get to see about 50% of those are actually in the United States. Kind of interesting, right? But Infura runs nodes as well, right? Well, what is Infura? Infura is part of Consensus, right? And they run these nodes, and they can collect your data and all that kind of stuff. Well, cool story, Sam. What is Consensus? Because Infura runs, I believe, I don't know how to find the data in here, but they run towards the top, or if not the top, of the number of nodes. If you look at this by country, you can just see. I bet this is why. You know how the United States has 2,700 nodes? Check this out. Almost all of those nodes are right there in Ashburn, wherever Ashburn is in Washington, D.C. Right there by this lake, right? That is where almost all the nodes are in the United States. In one freaking spot. Does that sound super centralized to you? Or does it sound decentralized? It sounds super centralized to you. Look at that. Across for the largest, the second largest, smart chain, right? That's massive. So you can see it's the largest concentration globally too, right? Okay. Infura runs a bunch of those nodes. Infura is owned by Consensus. You know who also owns? You know what Consensus also does? MetaMask. MetaMask is developed by Consensus Software, collecting data, making money, right? And I believe J.P. Morgan actually was in the funding round for Consensus earlier this year. How much of this do they actually control when you look at the entire ecosystem and you include wallets? And this, I believe this is also kind of like a platform that developers can use to build on, right? Well, that means that those are points of failure, or at least attack vectors where things can go wrong. So let's go back over here. How could we fix this with Pulsechain? How could we make this even better with Pulsechain? If changing these, we need a new marketing fucking line here. These 6 are not working, right? Because you and myself are not running nodes. We don't have any incentive. Okay, cool. Privacy and security. Okay, cool. Somebody else is going to do that, right? Because that's how 99.9% of the people think. How do we change this? We change this marketing so that we can do. I've thought of 3 different things here. Right, so think of the nodes as direct access to the blockchain, because the node effectively is the blockchain. Think of like building on top of nodes and creating a, so to speak, app or dApp. So instead of having to go through, say, Uniswap to trade, what if you could do that directly through the node and reduce the fees drastically to do so? Or there are some nodes that allow you to earn money. So they're setting up a node or something to earn money. So I think it has to be one of 3 things. Create an app that allows people to earn money, whether it is an app that runs on the node, then when people use that, they earn a percentage on it. Do something where a app allows the cost reduction of doing business in this in some way, or create an app or some way where the DApp allows people to save a tremendous amount of time, right? It has to make them more money, reduce their costs, or save them a lot of time, right? Because those are the things that are going to be important to people. The things on the screen here are, conceptually important to people, but clearly not actually super important to people, because you have Ethereum, the second largest blockchain, only has 6,000 nodes running on it. So we got to change the narrative in terms of the marketing. How can this be done? As I mentioned, creating a node that is able to support potential. These ideas I'm paraphrasing from the conversation that I had the other day with two buddies, right? Frosty, who's on Twitter, and Bullish, who's on Twitter, and GRC, Geometric Crypto, also, right? So changing this so you have a node that has the capacity to run multiple networks on it, that earns money, right? Because if you're spending $1,000 on a node, that the node can earn you, $50 a month. Cool, that's a great proposition for a lot of people. You just plug this thing in, it costs you $6 a month, and you earn $50, right? So your delta on that is $44 a month. You also have an app that is built on the launch of this that allows you to interact with the network, that saves you a lot of money and or time, whether that is similar to a DEX like Uniswap, but the fees are drastically lower, like an OTC type of desk, over the counter for trading, and reducing the market impact of this, and just continue building this out and adding new nodes to this network, because this network effect is going to be massive. And it's not that big of a hurdle to reach. Pulsechain can get more than 6,000 nodes. Are the number of nodes on the network going to also increase the adoption? Right? Because if you can put a really, truly tremendous app, right? My phone is over there, but an app on the phone, people will buy a phone just because of a certain app. And you're like, I won't do that. But you do. You do already. YouTube, right? If there was a phone that didn't have the capacity to run YouTube or Gmail or whatever other apps people use, Instagram and Facebook, if you had a phone that did not have those and one that did have those, you would buy the phone that allowed you to do those. Period. Same type of thing can happen with these nodes. So we create this node that's able to run on multiple networks. Maybe you can just switch between multiple networks like that, super easy or something. With this, having apps built on top of this could be the new OS of the globe in terms of cryptocurrency here. I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you guys enjoy this content, make sure you take a second, share this video out with somebody else who's in crypto. We need to start changing this, whether it is here with Ethereum or Pulsechain, right? This is going to be coming out soon, so maybe starting fresh and creating those incentives for people to actually run nodes and to build this network. Maybe there's a way to incorporate Pulse nodes with HNT, right? HNT already has like, a million nodes. A million nodes is a boatload of nodes. That's like a mesh network for the world. So like that's going to be the censorship resistant way of interacting with the internet eventually, right? And maybe there's a way to interact with that, so to speak, or something. But love to hear what your thoughts are. If you think this idea is interesting and you want to help, or you want to contribute, or think about this, or somebody who wants to help me fund this in some capacity, hit me up on Twitter. There's a link down below. Instagram, link down below. Other YouTube channel related to fitness stuff is also up here. Appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.